Go ahead and get started.
4:35.
I know John Cologne's on his way here. Let's see. Andrew, do we need to take?
I take it.
Andrew's gonna take attendance, but we see everybody on Zoom, so. All right, so Jake or Joe, do you want to give an update on McCown? Or do you want to start with another deal first?
I'm in the car, so Jake, feel free to take it away.
I would say the quick update on McCown is that we expect to be funded. Nothing is final until the board meeting in June. The latest and greatest is that the administrative law judge sided with, the collective cases that were going on that follow Florida housing staff, where they believe McCown will get funded. Those cases, while technically settled in court, the final decision is the Board of Commissioners at Florida Housing. So it'll be discussed at the June board meeting, and all signs are pointing to McCown being funded then. So, until then, we don't want to say it's final, but we're in the works now of, planning an updated site plan, getting renderings together, and coordinating with William so that he can make sure, the board and the residents and everybody is abreast of any plans we have and be in a great position once we get that commitment letter from Florida Housing. So that's basically where we're at. Any questions on that or anything you want to add, Joe or William?
Do you have any idea how many units would be in it and their configuration? It would be for seniors, right?
Yes. 96 units, Dwayne.
96, good.
Units just for seniors?
Yep.
That's too bad. I think that's too many. Are we the only ones building for seniors in Sarasota?
Well, I know the Herald Tribune's working on an article as we speak about the lack of affordable senior housing. So it's gotten pretty bad. So I definitely think more is needed, not less. So, and it's already going to be on a senior campus, so.
That makes it better. And in a good location in the city.
So you're defining seniors as up to 5 and up, right?
62.
62?
Yep. I mean, that's how HUD defines it.
Oh, is that a new definition?
No. 55 is near elderly.
Oh, okay. It's what?
Is near elderly.
Oh, okay.
And I won't be near elderly for about 3 months, so. Darn it.
Don't feel special now. I've been there for 20 years. So, are we housing people? Are we moving people out of McAllen over there? Or are we housing new people who need housing?
I mean, the thought was that we would open it up to applications like we normally do. There's no formal process to transfer people.
Well, that's good. Well, I think that if somebody's coming from one of our other project units or whatever, that we should inspect their units to make sure they meet our standards. Since we're supposed to inspect them yearly anyway, and we never do. I would prefer not to house people that are either smoking or ruin their units. I mean, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels about that, but
We do inspect our units every year.
we inspect them all every year.
Every single one, yep, at least once.
Well,
And we have residents here attesting to that fact.
Yes.
oh
We
yeah.
have no smoking signs on all the doors.
Okay, you say so. It
So-
was a pretty superficial inspection.
John,
Just to point out two things real quick. So one is we would not have been funded if we hadn't applied under the elderly set aside. So if we had applied as family, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd have no units potentially funded. Now we've got, potentially, 96 units of new housing. The other thing is, if the housing authority wants to try to prioritize, we just have to be careful because Florida Housing's intent here is to create new units for really new people. So we really can't just set aside all these units for existing residents. It's going to be an open application process for anyone to apply, which could include existing SHA residents.
I'm not saying exclude them. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. What I'm just saying is, we want to maintain a certain standard in these newer buildings, and it's very difficult to do if you move people with bad habits from a public unit. Their attitude is it's a public unit. I'm gonna do what I want. It's not my house. And
Right. So-
that's always been my issue.
Yeah, so, part of the intake process for the applicant would include, landlord reference. And since SHA is a part of it, I think it'd be totally appropriate to make sure that, they're of good standing, in all areas. Yeah. So I think we can cover that side.
All right. As long as we're being equal to everyone.
Yep, of course.
Okay. So are we going to announce this to the public first and just like to everybody? In other words, it's going to be put out publicly and we get a public list? Or are the residents going to find out about it first and start sending their names in?
We're a ways away from that, Commissioner, but
Yeah.
I think in the short of it, when we get to that point, we would have an open application process for anyone and everyone to apply.
Okay. That's what we want. Fair treatment for all of them.
Right, and again, that's what Florida Housing will want. They won't want us to hold units again for, current residents.
Okay. I just want to keep it fair.
Yep, agreed. We all do.
Oh, well, it's not what I'm told, but that's okay. Hearsay doesn't count, I guess. All right, thank you. That's what I have. And never mind. So there's no parking issues, right?
in terms of what?
In terms of the people in McAllen will still be able to have parking privileges, and the new people coming in will also have parking privileges.
Correct.
What we're working on right now, Commissioner, is basically finding a suitable parking lot that's nearby that the existing residents will be able to park there, be a very short walk. And then in terms of the new design, we're working on basically a wrap building that has an interior garage that could be built quicker than the units and be able to provide enough spaces that will be more than sufficient for both phase one, or the existing McCown and this new McCown development. So that's the goal, and hopefully it'll be only about 6 to 9 months of any issue for the existing residents.
Okay, Jake, thanks. I kind of figured you guys were on top of it, but I just figured I'd vocalize it in front of all the residents so they know what's going on.
Appreciate it.
William, I have a question regarding parking. How many existing residents have cars? and need the parking spaces. We must know that because we provided parking for the people who are already there.
Yeah, I don't have that number off the top of my head.
I think it's about 96.
Yeah,
But you do, you get it
we-
right.
we have about 96 spaces, but they're not all resident spaces.
Right. Okay.
So following along Dwayne's line of thought, is there some way we could make sure that those spaces are for our residents and not for outsiders, not for teachers at the school down the street or any of the people who work in any of those eateries down the block?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to address that as we go through design and stuff. Controlled access. So
Yeah.
we don't know yet whether or not the city is going to want some public parking to be included in this or not. So that could be another factor, but that would be a separate. Obviously, you'd have to have a separate access to the public parking spaces. That'll be separate from our resident parking.
Well,
I think we're going to have enough parking. We're going to need enough parking spaces. There probably won't be a lot of public parking spaces for anybody than our new residents and existing residents. Take care of the needs that's coming in plus the needs that's already there. I mean, I don't know how we can do 200 spaces, but I suppose that's possible. But the financing is an issue.
yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I mentioned it, because I'm realizing how many people we're discussing, and if we're going to make sure that our residents have parking, that becomes an issue, unless we're building a couple of hundred parking spaces, and I don't think we are.
That's what I'd like to know.
I mean, commissioners, we could. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
No, I said, part of the issue is that we're just trying to ensure, that we're meeting all the stakeholders' needs. So I know the city has some desires as well as it pertains to parking, but I just want to be really clear, at least for this board, that all the feedback that William, Joe, myself have given to the design team is that we need to hit at least that 200 number, and so that's what's definitely going to make sure this happens. So I don't. You guys are voicing the right concerns, and we're going to make sure that we can at least get to the 200.
That's what I was thinking, 200 units of parking.
Mr. Ross?
Well, I realize that everybody doesn't have a car, so we may not need exactly 200. I know a lot of the residents don't have vehicles that severely disabled and don't, really drive. But I want to make sure that we at least have adequate spaces for all the residents we have. And right now, if I come to a meeting there, I notice there's no parking. So that's the only reason I'm harping on it. I don't know what else to say. The access is going to be limited. And if the city wants some spaces there, then they should get out their checkbook. What do you think,
You know
Dwayne?
that. I feel the same way.
Okay, that's how I feel. So, Dwayne and I are on the same page. So,
Valerie, you had a question?
So I don't have a question, but I have a statement because, we don't have enough parking because the people across the street, they park over here and take up a lot of our parking space. But the residents that live here do not want a parking garage. And I don't think that, the surrounding areas over here should, that we need to be supplying parking for them. Because we have, in Newtown period, there's never enough parking. But I don't think that, this one development, I don't think that we need to be parking up at this time. Because there's plenty of places that a parking garage can go. If we would be firm about them not coming over here parking, then we will have a few more parking lots. But I don't know why we have to do what Rosemary District want, because we have residents that we supposed to be serving, and they don't want it.
Sorry, maybe the former commissioner missed my remarks before. So I thought I was pretty explicit about that.
Sir? I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. I said I thought I was pretty explicit about wanting to make sure that we had enough spaces for our residents.
Well, we have enough now, but we don't need 200 or near 200. I mean, we just don't want another building in front of this building.
Okay.
Well, if we bring in another 100 residents, and
No,
each one needs a parking
they
space.
still being put out at home. It's all about the dollar, but it needs to be about people.
All right, Jake, do you want to update on Cypress Square 2?
Sure, no problem. So as it pertains to Cypress Square 2, we have the DRC meeting tomorrow. So we just got some comments back yesterday from the city, so we're going through those.
No, that's Cypress Square 3.
Sorry, Cypress Square 3. I'm trying to get the terminology in my head. Cypress Square 2. So I think we talked about it at the last board meeting, but we closed on that development about a month ago. Had an OAC this morning. Demolition is coming along well. So hopefully over the next 2 weeks, all the existing buildings will be down and we'll start moving towards site work, and then probably about a month after that going vertical. So yeah, that deal's moving right along. All good things.
Yeah, I saw a demo going on today. Took some photos. That was exciting.
I'm a member of the community garden over there, and I see like when that whole thing is finished, are we gonna still have access to that big gate over there
Yeah.
on that side?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything more, Jake, on the active Cypress phase?
I don't think so. Everything's going well.
Okay, great. All right, Lost on Lemon phase 2. Got a closing next month.
Yeah, Lost on Lemon phase 2. Latest and greatest update is that right now we're scheduled to close June 18th. We have weekly calls getting to that place. Really the big ticket items that are left open are getting a permit ready letter. So we've been working with Wiseman. They've been trying to set meetings with the building official and others. They've been heading up that process in terms of processing the plans, et cetera. So that's probably the biggest global item from the design perspective, is just getting a permit ready letter issued by the city. And then outside of that, all the financing is in place. So it's really just doing all the due diligence checklists for all the collective banks, working through all the legal documents, et cetera. And yeah, getting to closing. I know that right now the active work in the right-of-way is being done, so I think that should be wrapped up in the next couple weeks. And that was for purposes of relocating the sewer main on Lemon there and getting all the infrastructure and ground to underground those FPL lines. So things are coming together, and yeah, hoping we can stick to that timeline of closing on June 18th.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, any questions on Loss Unlimited 2? All right. Yeah, I did see heavy equipment in the torn up section of Lemon today. Active heavy equipment, I should say. It has been parked at times, but today they were all moving. As were several demo cranes at the courts. So, all right. Cypress Square 3. Jake, APP 4.
Yeah.
And Central
so
Gardens.
3 AP4. That's the one that has a DRC meeting tomorrow. So don't expect anything too crazy there, but that'll help us continue on that process. Somebody want to say something? Okay. In terms of the financing for that one, right now we have Bank of America committed to work on that deal. They've been a great partner. They're doing lofts too, and able to come to the table with great equity pricing in a really difficult market. I think the only other thing that I want to, just share with the board while we're here is some of the Central Gardens elements. I think it was talked about at the last board meeting, but basically, Bank of America and other finance partners, along with just Malai Tech experience, wanted to see one architect of record. So Slocum will be doing these projects in tandem with Hoyt from a design perspective. And it looks like I have the ability to share the screen. So I guess just a couple of quick things that I want to share. These are, all working documents that we're kind of got in preparation of this meeting, still working through. But can you guys see this?
Yes.
All right, so this, I just want to kind of orient everybody that this is the existing Central Gardens plan for the 39 units south of Janie's Garden. So we're not changing that in any way, that plan or the units or anything like that. What we are looking at, mainly from a standpoint, and I'm going to share this now, let me find this now. From a standpoint of basically ensuring that the property has the best longevity, lowest maintenance costs, no water intrusion, etc. This is an updated design that Slocum did. The front of the building is very similar to what you guys already have and what has been designed for. I guess they're calling it rear, but it's fine. Basically the building, the facade that's facing the street would look very similar to what you have now. These colors are just for representation purposes. What will be different is basically the facade that's facing the parking lot, and so effectively they have kept some of the, let's call them S's, up and down the building. They put more windows, but they haven't closed the corridors. Again, mainly for water intrusion purposes. This isn't set in stone by any means, but just something that we wanted to show the commission and get some feedback. And then in tandem with that, Hoyt, who has been doing, the aesthetic elements of this, prior to this meeting, they sent me, let me just show a couple, let's see here, I can do this. So this is probably the best image. Again, it doesn't have colors or the other elements, but let's see. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of their existing take on it, which is similar to the current design, has more of these open balconies, but does not have some of the S's going up and down it. We had a meeting with, Slocum, Hoyt, Marmer, you guys selected as GC for that project, is working on AP or Cypress 2/AP3, and just got a lot of good feedback from them about making sure that, whatever's built here, number one, can stand the test of time, doesn't have a lot of water intrusion issues. But then number two, obviously looks good. So again, this is kind of latest and greatest that Hoyt could get to by this point of the day. But I did want to just share those kind of two options, not to make any decisions, but just get some feedback from this group about, what's more important. As we all have to make decisions as it pertains to, cost of the job, aesthetic, versus any potential water intrusion, et cetera. So I don't know, Joe, if you want to add anything to anything I've said, but
Jake, can you zoom in on that at all?
yeah, let's see.
And that's this. You're viewing the south-facing part of it right now, where the parking lot is.
So I would say the big takeaway since the design that, and I don't know that I had a rendered from Suarez per se, but they enclosed the staircase, which both architects are recommending is done on either side, enclosed the staircase. And then there were some, we call it like S's that were coming up and down the building that, basically everybody's thought should be removed just because to build them in that way, and then also ensure that, the elements aren't hitting here and draining properly, et cetera, wasn't going to be feasible. So that's kind of where we're at between the two firms right now, and then just trying to get feedback from this group.
Where are the elevators, Mr. Russ?
There's one in the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah, elevator bank in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, it's hard to.
How many elevators? Two?
One in the middle.
That's it.
39 units.
Oh,
And how many apartments is it?
39.
39?
I have to close
4.
it. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll let the group marinate on that a little bit, but those are the updates there. Things are moving along nicely, but definitely want the input of the board and the residents in terms of the Central Gardens part of this Cypress 3.
We didn't copy those plans. I didn't see the packet. So
Yeah, that's on me, Commissioner Morgan. Andrew was really good about getting that done. We just we were doing our best to do it in time. So I'll send it over to Andrew, and she could share what I've shared on the screen with you guys.
thank you.
Yeah, we'll send it out to the whole board.
Mr. Russ, question about Cypress too. You're gonna have a big building there in the space. So we wanna talk about us having a space, in that, when y'all do that, the second, phase to that, about us having some space over there, since you're gonna have a big, for youth build, you can have added space there.
Okay.
So before y'all, finish deciding whatever, we need to talk about being able to have shared space or space over there.
I mean, the plan's are already done and it's already closed financially. So
Yes, you did wait for it.
I know, we talked about it. But
Well, how much space do you need?
I mean, we can look at it. We can't change the building plans now, but we will have we're gonna basically have 2 classrooms on the bottom of one of the residential buildings for youth, after school homework stuff. So we won't have a building per se. It's just gonna be classrooms on the bottom of one of the buildings.
Idea what I had always thought we were going to do is get a mentoring group to mentor some of these young groups and let them utilize the space on a week-by-week basis, Not a permanent space, but a place where they could meet if they needed to.
Well, the mentoring group has been meeting at,
Janie's Garden.
yeah, but they ran out of space there. And so I took them over and we had a meeting with Boys and Girls Club. And now the Boys and Girls Club is hosting them. And now they have plenty of room.
Okay,
So it's on our campus.
I understand. It's just a suggestion. But
William, I have a question.
Okay?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I was wondering about the management office or how is this particular, how these units going to be managed? Where would the management office be?
So right now there's an existing kind of clubhouse for Cypress Square Phase 1. And that will be the clubhouse for all 3 phases over there.
I see.
And they do have an office in there and staff, so people know where they can go if they have an issue. And they're open every day.
All right. All right, the next item was the Osprey house design. We wanted to bring that back to the board. Andrew, is that something you can pull up?
Not for this PC,
Okay.
but I resent it to both of them.
Okay. So basically, I mean, we have renderings. Hoyt really designed a nice 2-story single-family home with a porch that I think
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I think you guys saw it at a previous board meeting and really liked it. And you chose to do the 2-bedroom house. And then we talked about doing an ADU behind that, accessory dwelling unit. And there was some discussion about having the ADU be 2 stories, but we don't feel like that's very cost effective to do that. So we need to make a decision so we can finalize the designs and go out to bid so we can get it built. So does anyone feel strongly about having a smaller ADU be 2 stories?
Define.
It would really increase.
What's the anticipated cost difference?
Right.
I mean, I think it would be probably a little more than double, because you are adding a lot of square footage to it going 2 floors. Basically, your first floor would be typically your living room, kitchen area. Second floor would be bedroom, bathroom, closet. So if you did single family, it's more of like a studio style where everything will be on the first floor. So you're building a lot less square footage. And
I mean, I guess my question is, you're saying double, but what's double? So is that 20,000?
Well, we have
50,000, 400,000?
well, we're still working on the building material type, so we don't have the numbers on that yet. We're looking to have flexibility in construction methods for potential contractors. So Hoyt is working on specs that'll give people options to try to, so we can build more for less, but we don't have the exact numbers yet.
Because I mean, personally, I still prefer the second floor. That's on one vote. So, but that's my feeling is, I wanted to know what those numbers were, and just estimated cost, right? Like we don't have to have the exacts, but what that estimated doubling would be.
Yeah, well, so the way Hoyt's looking at it as well is they're looking, like I mentioned, the options where it could even be a modular home, or then it could be, where maybe the walls would be the foam, poured concrete foam walls, or then conventional. So that's where once we so those could differ in the price, but like I said, we don't have that worked out because we're still, working on the design part.
Have they ever looked at the concrete slabs that you can have made in a factory and they bring them on a truck? And
Well, that's one of the methods that we
That's
want
one of
to
the
allow
methods.
for.
Because that's supposed to be very sturdy
The SIP
construction.
panels and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rated.
We want this building to last. We're not building it like these builders build for something that's going to be, good for 20 years, and then they start crying, let's knock it down.
Is the building right now a contributing structure to the historic district?
It's been demolished.
Oh, okay.
So this was a home that was donated to us by, it was either Bank of America or Wells Fargo when they were kind of unloading some of their
Depressed and
Depressed,
non-performing assets.
troubled assets. And there was an elderly woman living there at the time. They just said, we'll give it to you for free, but just agree that you'll continue to house her. And we did house her for a number of years. But yeah, we were out there recently, and it was like, the walls are deteriorating and stuff. So we moved her a couple of blocks away into another home we own at Orange and 29th. And we ended up demolishing that structure. So it was literally falling apart. It was,
I just want to make sure that it wasn't part of one of the contributing structures.
I don't think so.
I mean, it looks historic, so,
What does?
I mean, I guess it's the 3028,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we went through the permitting.
is that it?
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, 3028.
We got a permit.
Okay,
And they did the historical.
We didn't do it in the middle of the night.
okay. And the lot can hold an accessory dwelling unit?
Thanks to the city ordinance.
I would say 2 stories is my opinion. I don't know how much you got to spend, but
I
would say
agree
2
with the
stories.
commissioner, by the way. I think 2 stories
All right.
is more optimal.
All right.
How big is the lot?
Still right at 5,000 square feet.
Why can't we build a duplex?
And I don't know if, so when we did the
Instead of an
first,
ADU, I mean, a duplex would house 2 families.
well, but when we did the first layout, unless you go 2-story on the main house, you could only fit like a 2-bedroom, the way the lot's configured. So when Hoyt looked at the lot, they figured we could get, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story, then an ADU. And the ADU, the concept is possibly if somebody needs assistance, needs like a son or a daughter living behind them. to
It's a
help take care
mother-in-law
of.
apartment, just
Right.
say it.
Right.
No, it's not.
What is it?
The city passed an ordinance to allow for ADUs because they're small and much more affordable than trying to rent a house or even an apartment. So it's a smaller unit that we can lease to a single person. Our longest waiting list is for 1-bedrooms in Newtown. It has been for years. So, we can house a single person to live in the ADU right behind the 3-bedroom house.
And how close would that be to the 3-bedroom house?
What's that?
How close would it be? In other words, is it going to be on
I
top
think
of them?
we have the design. We have the layout.
'Cause people get antsy about it. They think they're renting a house.
So
and
there's
the yard is right backing up almost
There's
against another
space
house.
for 2 cars,
Okay.
so it's not right next to it.
So there's no lawn. It's basically concrete for 2 cars.
Right. And a driveway.
Yeah.
There is some lawn, but
Who maintains that?
we do. SHFC. All right, 2 stories it is.
Yeah.
We could stack 2 rail cars on top of each other. Cargo shipping containers. You're big on that.
I'm big on it, yeah, I know the guy who owns the company who does it, I mean,
Does
but,
it need to be on the agenda?
you know,
for us to vote?
I didn't recommend it for the housing authority, I just told you I like the concept. As long
Okay.
as it comes in cheaper than what it costs us to build, and it's just as efficient.
That's the agenda.
All right. That's all we've got for today.
Okay, thank you. That's the agenda.
Andrea's dumping you as fast as possible.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Did I miss anything about the back building at all? No.
I don't think so.
There's nothing happening.
I missed a lot. I was on Zoom half the call. I was on Zoom for most of it. I was driving.
Well, I got into it before. But they're still planning on, I know that you're getting big cuts in Hart. It's a little scary.
Why is that scary?